I recently did a video about the best games of 2018, which I put a lot of time and effort into, mainly because the games I had on the list had a lot of time and effort put into them, so it was only fair that I return the favour. However, I think 2018 could have been a lot better if it were not for some of these terribly disappointing games, and since the developers released these rushed products with barely any effort or quality control, I feel it's only fair my video reflects their blasé attitude. Good games get a quality polished video from me, and bad games like these ones get me talking about how bad they are, and that's it. Here we have Overkill's The Walking Dead, which for a while I was slightly looking forward to. Everyone knew these as the developers of the insanely fun heist game Payday, an action-packed multiplayer robbery experience that had huge amounts of replayability. Their Walking Dead game, however, is a totally different kettle of fish, with a story that has no respect for its source material, a repetitive gameplay loop that drags on forever, and to top it all off, it's riddled with bugs, glitches and technical issues that would test even the most patient of gamers. I was surprised by the lack of finished from Overkill here. This game really needed another 6 months or more of development and more exciting content to break up the tedious gameplay. Next we have State of Decay 2, and this one personally hurt quite a lot. It's not necessarily a bad game, but it could and should have been so much better. I was intrigued by the introduction of playing online with friends in an apocalyptic world that was a fresh take on probably my most favourite indie title of the last generation. But what I got, yet again, was another unfinished game full of bugs. The gameplay was pretty much the same and I enjoyed it to an extent, and the fear of losing my character forever, if they died, made the game as tense as the original was. But this iteration changed almost nothing from the 2013 release of its predecessor, and yet somehow it was even more broken than I remembered, a huge disappointment. Next is Metal Gear Survive, and the less said about this game the better. I have a fully fledged review on the channel if you want to check it out, but we all knew what this game was and that it wouldn't be very good. It functions fine, it plays well, it's structurally sound. The problem is it's just so boring, so very, very boring, fighting the same enemies over and over again, poking them through fences with your metal spear and looting them with the same animation over and over again. It's just such an obvious cash grab, using the same assets from Metal Gear 5, and they changed absolutely nothing. They just ripped out the interesting story and made the stealth mechanics useless. And what makes it worse is the Metal Gear name is slapped all over it. Konami should be ashamed of this game, no matter what state it's in. Next is Bethesda's latest creation, which puts us in the shoes of another Vault Dweller. But this time, we get to experience the wasteland with our friends. This was the first huge red flag in my mind for me. I never wanted a multiplayer Fallout game, and why would I? Some of the best times I've had with my games console are playing alone with a Bethesda RPG. And it seems my intuition was right, as Fallout 76 is probably one of the biggest flops of recent memory. Yet another asset flip, using most aspects from Fallout 4, and yet somehow they managed to make it even buggier than a usual Bethesda game. It was and still is broken. It's boring. It barely has any story unless you dig deep for it. The PvP is terrible. Playing co-op with friends isn't much better. The VAT system just simply does not work in real time. And yet even though it's a huge colossal disaster, it's not finished yet. We have had controversy after controversy since release of this game, and it's only been about 6 weeks. Problems with the Collector's Edition, false advertising claims, even leaked personal details from their website. It really is a dumpster fire with this game right at the centre, and it's all that more painful when all we can do is sit back and watch Bethesda set themselves ablaze. And finally, oh god, I don't want to do this. We have the biggest catastrophe of 2018. Oh no, this game really annoyed me at the beginning of the year, and it's a perfect example of why games as a service does not work. I left this game until last because it's by far the biggest disappointment of any form of entertainment I've ever known. Sea of Thieves is the most anorexic excuse for a game ever. They released a beta for full price, and that's it. On the day of release, the swashbuckling pirate adventure game by Rare had no more content than what we'd played 2 weeks earlier in the beta. It's portrayed as a vast sea, but you soon realise it's a shallow puddle. It had terrible progression, repetitive quests, the same enemies time and time again. Just another foundation of a game that we were promised would be expanded on in future. It's not good enough. I will not buy a game that may or may not be better in 6 months' time. Screw this game. Screw the games as a service business model. I hate it. It's ruined so many games that could have been great this year. Just give us games that are finished. I'll buy them. It's that simple. Just give me a finished game, I'll buy it. Oh god. This game gets me very angry, and I'll have to see you all next time before I accidentally make this video unfit for family viewers. Anyway, thanks for giving it a watch, and let's hope 2019 is less of a disappointment.